This is day 9 of the 30-day Bible reading plan, and we're in Deuteronomy 6, and this is just a tremendous chapter in the Bible and tells us so much about what it means to be obedient for Israel, and then informs so much of the reading of the New Testament. So I want to read the whole thing, and we'll try to go pretty quickly through Deuteronomy 6 here. Now this is the commandment, the statutes, and the rules that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. So Moses is speaking here. And why do they need to be taught? So that you may do them in the land to which you are going over to possess it. And here is what you need to do. You may fear the Lord your God, you and your son and your son's son, by keeping all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you. So how do you fear the Lord your God? Well, you keep his statutes and his commands. It's similar to what Jesus says in John's gospel when he says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments all the days of your life, and that your days may be long. Hear therefore, O Israel, and be careful to do them, so that it may go well with you, and that you may multiply greatly, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has promised you. Remember, I will make you a blessing to many nations. That's what he said to Abram. I will make your descendants as the stars of the sky, as the sands of the sea, or the shore, in a land flowing with milk and honey. And here we get to this great passage, which is called the Shema, which is for this first word here, the Hebrew verb Shema. It means hear, obey, listen, all of that range of meaning. So, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Now, people will say this is a composite oneness. This does not deny the Trinity or anything like that, but it is a statement to say that the Lord is unique. There is only one God. And that is true. By the way, Trinitarian orthodoxy affirms only one God. It is unorthodox to say there are three gods, like the Father is a God, the Son is a God, and the Spirit is a God. That is not orthodoxy. Orthodoxy is that there is one God, and there are three persons, and each of those persons is fully and equally God. That's Trinitarian orthodoxy. It may sound bogus, it may sound mysterious, but that is what orthodoxy is. So the Lord is one. And this is a bold claim in the ancient Near East when you have nations surrounded by other gods, and Israel is saying, we have one God and we only recognize one God. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. Now you might wonder why it is when Jesus quotes this in the New Testament, he includes mind. The reason is because of this concept right here, the heart. In Hebrew, the heart really refers to both what we would consider the center of our person, both our mind and our rational decision-making part, our will, all of those things. So in Greek, though, you need to talk about the mind to include that as well. And in English, we need to talk about the mind as well. The heart in English usually only refers to our emotions. But here it would refer to the whole control center of the person. So heart, soul, and all your mightness, your muchness is really the idea here, your strength. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart, which is, again, another way of saying they should be on your mind. They should be the very controlling part of your being. And how you do that is following here in verse 7. You shall teach them diligently to your children. You should talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. So you should spend a lot of time pondering this right here. You shall love the Lord your God, and these words that I command you today. And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, which is why certain Jews will put these things around their hand, wrap them around with the roll of Scripture in them. And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Sometimes they wear the box, right? You shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates, and you'll often see that as well. And when the Lord your God brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, see, remember it's the covenant, to Isaac, to Jacob, to give you. He swore this. He made a covenant with great and good cities that you did not build. You didn't do it. God's doing it. And houses full of all good things that you did not fill. God's doing it. In cisterns that you did not dig. Getting the point, God's doing it. And vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. And when you eat and are full, then take care lest you forget the Lord. Deuteronomy 8 repeats something similar, by the way. But the idea is that when all the good things start happening, it's easy to forget the Lord. So you've got to remember, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and might. Don't forget the Lord, because he's the one who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, by his grace, right? He did that without their help. It is the Lord your God you shall fear. So don't fear any other. You shall fear him. Him you shall serve, and by his name you shall swear. You shall not go after other gods, the gods of the peoples who are around you, for the Lord your God is in your midst, is a jealous God, lest the anger of the Lord your God be kindled against you and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. So it is imperative that they obey the Lord and don't go after other gods. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test, as you tested him at Massah. You can read about that in the book of Numbers. You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. So obey, not as a way of getting in the covenant, but as a way of responding to the God who brought you out of Egypt. And you shall do what is right and good in the sight of the Lord, so that it may go well with you, and that you may go in and take possession of the good land that the Lord swore to give to your fathers by thrusting out all your enemies from before you, as he promised. So he's a covenant-keeping God, and he is good for his word. When your son asks you in time to come, what is the meaning of the testimonies and the statutes and the rules that the Lord our God has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with the mighty hand. So this is why we do these things, right? This is why you write them on your doorpost. This is why you bind them around your hands and put them as frontlets on your head. And this is why you're obedient and follow these rules. It's a way of remembering what God has done and telling the next generation. The Lord showed signs and wonders great and grievous against Egypt and against Pharaoh and all his household before our eyes. So we don't want to forget. And he brought us out from there that he might bring us in and give us the land that he swore to give to our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always. So it's our good here. It's not some sort of just drudgery, that he might preserve us alive as we are this day, and it will be righteousness for us if we are careful to do all this commandment before the Lord our God as he commanded us. So we have God who is bringing people out of Egypt, setting them apart, and then calling them to this new sort of life, to obedience, to remember what he has done and to remember his promises. And that's the word for us as well. When Jesus says this is the greatest commandment is that we look to the one true God and we exalt him as the God who has done for us the impossible. Namely, through Christ, he has brought us out of slavery to sin, Satan, and death, and redeemed us. So that's Deuteronomy 6, and we'll see you tomorrow for this continuation of the 30-day Bible reading.